Yo, what is up world, Metabeeps here. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. It's good to see you guys. This week I'm actually not going to be vlogging, so I'm sorry if you're expecting a vlog much like last week's. But instead this week, this entire video is brought to you by, but not sponsored by, maybe sponsored by in the future, who knows, by SHOTDECK. Now this is a website where you can reference images as a cinematographer, director, art director, and a set designer, whatever it may be. This is a wonderful website for you to go and find references from movies that you and I have seen, and even movies that you have not seen, where you can get examples of how you can frame your shots, how you can light your shots, and how you can also dress up your backgrounds to match the story or the tone of whatever scene or whatever movie you're filming. But before we get into this week's video, you know what to do. Go ahead and roll that intro, and I'll see you guys soon. What do you think makes an image cinematic or not? So in this video, I want to answer that question by using the app SHOTDECK, which will hopefully lend you guys to using it, giving you guys a chance to check out what the website is all about. Although it is in beta right now, you may be granted access just by sending an email, and if you do, go ahead and mention my name. They may or may not remember me, but I do have access to it. So without wasting any more time, let's talk about what a cinematic image looks like, what it feels like, and how we can use SHOTDECK to figure that out. I want to talk to you guys about why I think this is a wonderful asset for any filmmakers out there. If you're really terrible or afraid of drawing storyboards like myself, because I can't draw storyboards to save my life, which is part of the reason why I stumbled across this website. This is a wonderful website to find examples of what you're trying to illustrate instead of you having to get a pencil or pen and draw in those little boxes that most of us are really afraid of using. So instead of searching the web on Google to find a single shot, this website here isolates all of the photos in a huge catalog so that it puts it in one wonderful place in really high resolution photos for you as a filmmaker to find out what kind of a single shot are you looking for. Are you looking for one where our character is framed right, like in this picture here? Or are you looking for a single shot where the subject is center in the frame? So again, this is a wonderful asset to find examples of single shots or any other shot that you can think of in this website here. So what I also wanted to do was define what a cinematic image is. So in order to do that, what I want to do is pull up a frame from one of my short films called Spectrum. Now I shot this 4 or 5 years ago now, and I want to show you guys a frame that I think is not cinematic, but at the time I thought it was cinematic. It was a trial and error for me, but again, like I said at the time, this website did not exist. So let's take a look at it and see why I think it is not cinematic. Alright, so as you guys can see, we are on the interior of a police station, or maybe you couldn't notice that, but now you know. We have the 2 big windows in the background, we have the 1 desk lamp on the table, and we have the ambient light, which is just the light that exists in that room naturally, quote unquote, within the office itself. So I don't know if you guys can notice this, but there is no contrast whatsoever in this image, be it a lack of color grading or be it a lack of lighting. To me, it's the lighting, 100%. Now, if you ask yourself, what in the world does a cinematic image looks like if we're filming the interior of a house, of a room during the day, how can we make that look cinematic? Well, now if we refer back to SHOTDECK, we can find out and see what a image of the interior during the day shot looks like. So here's the image that I found. It's from a movie, I believe, called Due Date, and it's just 2 kids chilling in the living room. As you can see, the key light is coming from the window behind them. We have the blinds behind them covering it, soft and silky, but also we can see that there is a lamp, kind of like what I try to do in my image, that is on, but it's not super hot, it's not very bright, it's not blown out. So aside from those 2 things, this image has a lot of contrast. We can clearly see the main light source and where it's coming from. Again, it's the window behind them, and then we also have, for a little accent or a little touch of light, that lamp to the left. But everything else, there's really not much light coming from in front of them or to the side of them. Granted, there probably is a window to the right of them, but again, it's not an overpowering light. The ambient light is really low, and we're really focusing on the backlight of the window and that small lamp light to the left. Now, when comparing it to my image, there's really no clear lines or definitions of things. As you can see in the cinematic image, there is shadows in the image. The cinematographer was not afraid to leave some darkness in the shot, giving things more definition and manipulating your vision and your eyes as to where you should be looking at in the frame. Whereas in my shot, there's so much light, my eyes are bouncing around left and right. So having the proper exposure really helps with making your images look cinematic, because you may have lights that you can use on set, but maybe you're using too much of those lights and things are becoming really bright, and there's really no clear defined definition as to where the shadows fall and where our eyes and our attention should be within that frame. Again, if we're looking for an image that we're filming during the day and interior and we have some windows in the background, you want to make sure that your exposure is set properly. You want to make sure that the lights you are using are not overpowering, and we're not trying to make the entire place explode with light, leaving our eyes running and bouncing around all over the frame. You're going to want to leave some shadows. You're going to want to make some contrast so that our eyes can focus on those certain areas of the scene. And that, my friends, is what helps make a cinematic image. So let's move on to the second and last image. Furthermore, answering the question, what makes an image cinematic? All right, for this final shot that I want to compare of, again, the short film that I filmed, Spectrum, back in college, I want to use two shots as an example of how we can fill a room with a small amount of people to help make that room feel cinematic, to help give some more production value to that image. And as you can see here in this shot, there are a lot of people lined up. I believe I counted 10 of them. And if you're on a low budget and you have some friends around, make sure to grab as many friends as you possibly can, because we want to fill the frame with as many people as we can so that it doesn't feel empty and that things don't feel very fake and authentic. So having empty holes in our frames really doesn't help us at all. So let's look at how in the world we can find an image from SHOTDECK to reference a group shot of people. So going into SHOTDECK, finding a group shot, finding a shot with more than 5 people in it, what can we find? All right, so I found this frame from a movie that I really like. Maybe you guys have seen it. It's called Fight Club. This is a group shot of people. We are now in a basketball gym, and as you can see, if you notice, there is a lot of people filling the frame, when really there's only about 9 to 10 people. Now for the blocking as a director, this is something I really have to focus on. How can I maximize my production value with only a certain amount of people and or props or things? You just fill up the frame and you make sure your blocking fills up that frame so that your group shots feel cinematic and they feel like the production value of that shot is really good. And again, if you guys haven't noticed, look at the contrast in this image. It totally screams cinematic. And if you guys can notice, the light is coming from above. It's not super blown out again. There's not so much light. You want to make sure as a cinematographer, you are funneling light to where the viewer can focus and they're not being distracted. And even if their eyes do wander around, you want to make sure that it's for a reason, right? We want to make sure that we have darkness in certain areas because it's called by the story itself and not because we're just doing it because it's cool. Don't do things because they're cool. Don't be one of those cinematographers, please. All right, so keeping that concept, we're going to jump into a single shot that I shot in my short film, and we're going to see how we can still work off that concept of filling the frame and keeping your big space filled with bodies so that it feels like it's full and the production value is through the roof, right? Okay, so in my shot here, we have a single shot of our woman here, and in the background, you can clearly see that it is filled with people. Why am I doing that? Because I want to try my best to fill that frame, to give it that cinematic feel, to give it that cinematic look and touch, so that it's just not this huge empty warehouse and there's only one person, when in reality there's a lot of people. And just because the camera doesn't show how many people there are, that means we as filmmakers can play off the idea of let's just scatter those same 10 actors and put them in the background so that it feels like our images are full of life and that they are also full of depth. I really enjoyed the bokeh that we have with those lights. That was actually Christmas lights. Shout out to my gaffer, Alan, at the time. He really helped me out. We really put this scene together and I'm actually pretty happy with it. I wish that there was a little bit more contrast, but again, I'm happy with the result. And I think that this is a really good example of how to make your wide shots in a really big place feel cinematic. Again, we're gonna play off the ideas of depth, of balance in the frame, where are the position of things, objects, of people, and also adding practical lights like those bokeh lights in there to give it a cinematic feel. And there's layers to this image. As you can see, we have someone in the foreground, we have people in the middle ground, and there's also things in the background. So adding depth like that into your images can make your images feel a lot more cinematic. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. I know it was a lot of me rambling, but I hope that you guys learned something from this. How to make your images a little bit more cinematic. And again, for all of you struggling filmmakers out there who are afraid of drawing, who can't find images on Google, SHOTDECK is a really great asset and a really great website for you to go to and use to help make your storyboards, to help make your pre-production a lot easier. SHOTDECK is the place to do it. You're going to find cinematic images that have a lot of information, and it clearly has the best search engine to find examples and references of cinematic images. So if you guys enjoyed this week's vlog and maybe learned something, maybe you didn't, let me know down in the comments below. And also, don't be afraid to hit that like button, because I would love to make more videos about SHOTDECK. Maybe they will see this video, therefore allowing me to make more videos and possibly sponsor. But even if it's not that, I would just love to share this website with you guys. So please head to SHOTDECK. It's gonna help you out so much as a filmmaker. I'm Matt, the cinematographer, and I will see you guys in 7 days.